Have you slept at all?
No.
Have you slept at all? That was the question that finally broke Mr. Noye. He had been sitting in the dark living room of his mansion in Asokoro, Abuja, long after the generators across the hill had gone silent. The leather chair cradled his body, but his mind refused rest. When his wife asked that question from the doorway, her voice careful, almost afraid, he realized something had gone terribly wrong with a life he had spent decades perfecting. Mr. Noye was a man who owned a bed. That was how people spoke of him when his name came up in hushed admiration, the kind of sleep that comes from wealth secured, enemies defeated, prayers answered. For 30 years, he had closed his eyes each night knowing tomorrow would bend in his favor. Contracts would be signed, rivals would apologize, money would multiply quietly, obediently. Until one night, sleep refused him. It began without drama. No nightmare, no noise. He simply lay awake, eyes open, listening to the rhythm of his own breathing stretch into dawn. He blamed stress, then age, then too much wine at dinner. When the second night passed the same way and the third, irritation crept in. By the fifth night, fear arrived. Mr. Nwoye had faced coups in boardrooms, betrayals from brothers, and the sudden unaliving of men who swore loyalty in the afternoon and plotted in the evening. None of that frightened him the way sleeplessness did. Because this was not exhaustion. It was as if something unseen stood beside his bed, gently but firmly saying, "Not yet." Doctors came, the best in Abuja, then Lagos. Pills were prescribed, tests were run. They spoke of hormones, blood pressure, the mind aging faster than the body. He swallowed everything they gave him. His eyes remained open. At night, the house felt different. The walls seemed to listen. The expensive paintings stared too long. He began leaving lights on, then televisions, then music. Silence felt like an accusation. By the second week, his businesses felt distant, unreal. Meetings blurred. Numbers slipped. His secretary noticed him forgetting details he once recited from memory. He snapped at drivers, aides, and his wife. Yet beneath the anger was something softer and more dangerous. Unease. Sleep was not merely rest. It was surrender. And Mr. Nwoye had built his life on never surrendering. People started to notice. At church, he sat through sermons with red eyes and clenched fists. During Thanksgiving services where others danced, he remained still, as if movement might break him. Friends asked polite questions, he waved them away, but whispers followed him. In Nigeria, persistent problems attract explanations beyond medicine. On the 18th night, he heard the knock. It came just after midnight. Not loud, not urgent. 3 gentle taps on the front gate. His guards reported nothing unusual, but something compelled him to go down himself. He wrapped a robe around his shoulders and walked past portraits of his younger self, confident, smiling, untroubled. At the gate stood an old woman. She was small, bent, her wrapper faded to the color of dust. She did not beg, she did not bow. She simply looked at him with eyes that seemed too awake for someone her age. "You have not slept," she said. It was not a question. Annoyance flared. "Who are you? How did you get past security?" "She did not see me," she replied calmly, "just as you no longer see sleep." Something about her tone unsettled him. He reached for authority, the way he always did. "Leave this place before I call my men." She nodded. "You may, but you will still be awake." He felt a chill he could not explain. "Go," he snapped. As she turned to leave, she paused. "There are deaths that do not knock loudly," she said. "They wait.
By morning, he convinced himself the encounter was exhaustion playing tricks, yet the words followed him through the day, clinging like humidity. Debts. Mr. Nwoye did not consider himself a wicked man. Hard, yes, strategic. He had done what was necessary. In Nigeria, softness did not build empires. He had lifted his family from obscurity, he employed hundreds, he gave generously at Harvest Thanksgiving. He had plaques to prove it. But as days dragged into sleepless weeks, memories surfaced uninvited. The land deal in Enugu, where a community was relocated with compensation that looked fair on paper and felt like theft in reality. The junior partner who took the fall for a scandal Mr. Nwoye engineered quietly. The apprentice was sent away without settlement because he was becoming too ambitious. Small things, he had called them. Necessary things. At night, these moments lined up before him. Not accusing, just present. And sleep stayed away. His wife, Ngozi, suggested prayer mountains. Pastors laid hands on him, voices rising, sweat flying. They declared restoration. He felt nothing. A prophet whispered that someone was holding his rest. Another suggested ancestral issues. Nwoye grew angry, then desperate. Finally, he remembered the old woman. It took 3 days to find her, not because she hid, but because no one seemed to recall her clearly. Descriptions contradicted, locations shifted. Eventually, a roadside tea seller near Gaki shrugged and pointed toward an abandoned bus stop. She sits there sometimes, the woman said, talking to people who are not in a hurry. Mr. Nwoye went alone. The old woman sat exactly where described. Hands folded, eyes open, as if she had been waiting only for him. "You came," she said. "I want my sleep back." She studied him for a long moment. Sleep is not lost, it is withheld. By who? By you. Anger rose, quick and sharp. "This is nonsense." She smiled faintly. "You are a builder of walls. You have spent your life closing doors. Sleep requires open hands." He almost walked away, but exhaustion made him stay. "What do you want?" he asked, quietly. "Nothing," she said. "But you want something. And one thing has rules." She told him to come back the next night, alone, without gifts, without guards. "Come as you are," she said, "not as who you think you are." Against his instincts, he obeyed. The nights that followed changed the shape of his life. She did not perform rituals. She did not chant. She asked questions. Not many, not dramatic ones. Who did you step on first? When did you stop saying thank you? Who have you convinced yourself deserved their pain? Each question landed softly and stayed. She did not argue with his answers. She simply listened, then nodded, as if adding weights to an invisible scale. On the fourth night, she said, "Sleep visits those who can sit with themselves in the dark." "I sit with myself every night," he replied bitterly. "No," she said gently. "You distract yourself." She asked him to do something that sounded foolish, to return what could still be returned. Not money, she clarified. Truth, acknowledgement, release. She gave him no list, no instructions, just a sentence that echoed through him like a drumbeat. Start with the one who still waits. He knew immediately who she meant. Musa. Musa had been his driver for 15 years, loyal, quiet, the kind of man who knew when not to hear things. When Mr. Nwoye's son was arrested briefly during university, Musa handled everything. When Mr. Nwoye traveled secretly, Musa drove without questions. Then one afternoon, after a disagreement over a delayed salary review, Musa was dismissed. No farewell, no settlement beyond what was legally required. Mr. Nwoye told himself it was discipline, leadership. Musa never complained. He simply left. The next morning, Mr. Nwoye went to find him. It was not difficult. Musa lived exactly where he had always lived. Same modest house, same calm eyes. "I came to see you," Mr. Nwoye said awkwardly. Musa nodded. "I see that, sir." They sat. No tea was offered. Silence stretched. "I was wrong," Mr. Anyowe said finally. The words tasted unfamiliar. "I used my power carelessly." Musa looked at him. Not surprised, not vindicated, just a present. "I did not ask for an apology," Musa said. "I asked for peace. I made peace." Something loosened in Mr. Anyowe's chest. He handed Musa an envelope, more than enough. Musa accepted it without ceremony. That night, for the first time in weeks, Obinna slept for 1 hour. He woke up crying. It did not end there. More visits followed. A widow whose land had been undervalued. A former partner whose name had been erased from a company's history. Conversations were short. Some were painful. Some offered forgiveness. Some did not. Sleep returned in fragments, like a shy visitor testing the ground. On the final night, he returned to the bus stop. The old woman was not there. He waited until dawn. When he rose to leave, he felt something he had not felt in months. Heaviness behind the eyes. The good kind. The kind that promised rest. He slept deeply that night, dreamlessly. When he woke, the world felt quieter, not empty, honest. Mr. Nwoye remained a rich man. His wealth did not vanish. His power did not crumble, but something fundamental shifted. He listened more. He spoke less. He built slower. People noticed. They said age had softened him. They said sickness had humbled him. He never corrected them. Sometimes, late at night, when sleep came easily, he would remember the old woman's words, "There are deaths that do not knock loudly." And he would whisper into the darkness, not in fear, but in gratitude, "I hear you."